What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chico Moya and welcome. If this is your first time, subscribe to the channel. This is the best channel on YouTube. So listen, I've been living in Helsinki for the past 5 years, and the last time I left Helsinki was, Finland to be more specific, was during 2020 when I went to Berlin. Berlin was kind of fun in its own way, but I wasn't crazy about it for certain reasons I will get into in another video probably. I have just gotten back from Stockholm, Sweden, and I'd never been before. I decided to buy myself a ticket and to just go check it out. And I thought that I would just, off the top of my head, kind of try and let you in on my experience and the things that I noticed while I was there. If you're Swedish and you are watching this, I hope you find this entertaining. And if you are Finnish, let me know your thoughts below. And I'll just be honest. One of the first things I noticed when I arrived in Stockholm, you see, just like here in Helsinki, everyone's got headphones on. But there, everyone seems to be, number one, in a massive rush. And number two, everyone seems to be on a phone call for some weird reason. Like, what is that? Like, everyone is so businessy and talking and like, yo, they have to get somewhere. And I remember I noticed it instinctively because it seems to me that here in Finland, people go out of their way to not impose themselves on the outside world, whether that means speaking loudly on a phone or in headphones, whether that means sitting next to someone when there are other options, and so on and so on. Sweden is still a Scandinavian country, so I don't know how much of these things that I'm going to be talking about are just a symptom of me living in a city like Helsinki. The next thing I noticed, the fact that people are incredibly friendly. I know someone is going to write out in the comments that it's not the way it is and blah, blah, blah. But listen, it was my first time there and I got lost multiple times. The app told me to take the green line, red line, and I was like, yo, what the heck is this? Where do I go out for a couple drinks? Like, what's the vibe? When I asked someone to help me, they went completely over and above what they needed to do. I'll give you two examples. The first one was I arrived on Thursday evening and I wanted to go have a drink somewhere, and somewhere that was vibey, somewhere I could meet nice people because I was traveling alone. And I stopped this one guy, and it's late at night. He looked busy. He had his headphones on. He was walking, and the exact sort of person that if I saw in Helsinki, I would not stop them and ask them for something. I asked this guy, yo, man, hey, where do I go to grab a couple of drinks? Like, what do you think? And then he stopped and he was like, The thing about Stockholm is that you need to decide what you are looking for. It was like, if you want hipster bohemian vibes, go to these places. And if you want more upper class and more fancier kind of thing, go to these places. And I was battling to remember all the names. And he was like, yeah, listen, let me write out the names for you. And he wrote down the names of the different streets. He told me where I should go catch the metro and all of that stuff. And he even took it a step further. You know what he said? I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, hipster vibes. Those are usually the chillest people. And he was like, but bro, I gotta tell you, the prettier girls are in the fancier places, If you are enjoying this video, can you please leave a like on this channel? I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit the notification bell to know whenever I release new videos. And also, if you want to support me, best way you can do that is by getting some of my merch. There should be some below there. I've got a whole bunch of things, so I would appreciate that. Now, back to the video. The second time I was blown away was when I was trying to catch a metro and I got a little bit confused, and I asked this random lady, I was like, hey, how do I get to this area? Like, what metro should I take? And we were like in the terminal, and she was like, come, I will take you there. And she walked me all the way down and around and down the stairs, all the way to the actual line I was supposed to take. And then she said bye and then went all the way back up. She went over and above what she needed to do. And that for me was quite incredible. I am very easily touched by kindness and by someone going out of their way to add a little bit of light by just being helpful and nice. The weather in Stockholm, technically, it's not as cold as it is here. But I don't know. Am I tripping? It felt like a different sort of cold, or it was because I didn't have my hoodie that I usually wear under my winter jacket. And my winter jacket isn't very, very thick, but the wind felt like a knife made of ice. It just cut through my layers. And it's not that I was freezing, but it was like kind of uncomfortable. I don't know. It was comparable. Finland is still definitely a lot colder for sure. I went out every evening because I went from Thursday and then I got back today, which is Monday as of filming this. The first night was a little bit strange and I felt quite lonely, if I'm completely honest. I still ended up at this really dingy bar. I don't like these sort of bars. You know, the bars where it seems like the drinking stops looking fun. It starts looking quite painful, as though throwing back those beers is the only thing to keep someone going. And I ended up in one of those bars. It was the hipsterish places. But even there, some people came and sat around me and I made some friends and started chatting to folk, and it was a chill vibe. Some people wanted to buy me drinks. I'm still not drinking any alcohol, so I was drinking non-alcoholic beers, but people seem to have been vibey. And even in that strange sort of place, it feels like there's a lot more variety, if I'm completely fair, in comparison to Helsinki. There's definitely a lot more variety. And when you go out, it's not like here where people seem to be really strict in terms of the crowd that they're hanging with. Because here you go out with your friends, and you stay with your friends. And for some people, until you start drinking enough, and then you can start chatting with other people and whatnot. But there, it was very much the same as what I remember from, South Africa, where you're sitting somewhere, you just talk to random people. People are very happy to know where you're from, what you're doing, and wanting to get to know you a little bit. And it does feel a lot more international. So I definitely thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So, all in all, and there's a lot more to go into, but all in all, it was an absolutely fantastic time. In terms of the beauty of the city, it's incredible, especially downtown. It's super massive. And that was great as well. Something that is a little... I'm not going to lie. Sweden has really, really beautiful women. Like, I'm not even going to trip, guys. Like, I was actually in awe. I was like, wow, how can there be so many attractive women in one space? Like, I would go to an event, like I went to a party, and in one little space, there was so many gorgeous women, and I was a bit taken aback. And of course, I had my priorities. I had things that I needed to do, but it was something I couldn't help but notice. And if you are living in Stockholm, my friend, if you are a guy, and even for girls, there was really good looking dudes as well. Swedish people are freaking tall. I don't remember the last time I felt so short in certain aspects. And I'm 178, right? 1 meter and 78. So I'm not short, and I'm taller than, I'd say, the majority of women I come across. But there were a few times when I was looking at some woman like, yo. That was quite strange. And don't even get me talking about the dudes, because they were also like freaking tall. And in some of my conversations with people who are immigrants or expats or whatever the words people like to use, a recurring theme that I found across Stockholm with all the people I spoke to was the fact that they found it really difficult to integrate into the Swedish communities. Even students who were studying and stuff felt like it was really difficult for them to work their way into the Swedish, I guess, cliques or societies or whatever word I can think of. And if you are Swedish watching this, like, what is that? What do you think that is? That was really interesting, because I found that to be the case across the board. Damn, there's a lot of money in Sweden. And by that, I just mean like the types of restaurants that are there, the types of apartments that people are living in. It just seems like, yo, there's a lot of people with cash there. And I went to this one event where there was a bunch of entrepreneurs and founders of businesses and that sort of stuff. And maybe I'm out of the loop here in Helsinki, but I'd love to find things like that or to help create things like that. If you know anything like that, please let me know below, somewhere where you can just go and interact with people and talk to people and whatnot, because it felt really good to be around people who are so inspired and thinking about the future and trying to build new technologies and that sort of stuff. So that was really cool. I definitely noticed the fact that Sweden is a lot more international. I also noticed how a lot of Swedish people don't really have a good view of Finland. It seems like a lot of people view Finland as like this backwater country and whatnot, which I find quite interesting. Like this one lady she found out that I'm from Helsinki, and she was like, Finland? I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I don't like Finland. I was like, really? Have you been there? And she was like, no. And I was like, then how do you know that you don't like it? She was like, I don't know. It just seems to not be nice. So to the Finnish people watching this, I hope you are not feeling insecure about this video. We love this place for what it is, and it doesn't matter how people view us. That's not what's important. I think it would be easier to make friends in Stockholm than it is here in Helsinki. I definitely, for sure. It feels like people, because it's a lot more international, people are very much more outgoing and more adventurous when it comes to socializing. I will reiterate, it could just be because I've been living here for so long and I've forgotten how outgoing and stuff people can be, right? It was a fantastic time. There's a lot of people who are feeling some way about the welfare. Where a lot of the complaining's coming from is, of course, high taxes. Like, you can't be living in Sweden or in Finland for that matter and be rich. Where the taxes are going, so far as I understand it, a lot of people get frustrated if, say, an asylum seeker or even someone who's not working anymore can just live off the money given to them by the government, and there's no incentive for them to actually go get a job because the money coming in is enough to get what you need. And by talking to a few people, I could hear a lot of the frustration coming out when they ended up talking about that aspect of it, which, you know, it got me quite intrigued. And I think the next time I go, I'm going to go out of my way to have conversations with people about that specifically. I think when it comes to immigration and stuff, it does seem like a lot of Swedes understand the issues or the place that Sweden finds itself in, where some of the laws have changed. Like here in Finland, for me to get my citizenship, which I definitely want to get, I have to pass a language test because they want to make sure that you are able to, in some way, shape or form, integrate into society. And yes, there are many ways to integrate into the society, but for sure, language is one of the easiest ways. It's the gateway if you might say. It does make sense to make that a foundation. So before the influx of immigrants that came into, or asylum seekers that came into Sweden, Sweden did not have a policy for having to learn Swedish to a certain level before you got given citizenship. It has created an environment where there are certain places in Sweden, whole areas where people just don't speak Swedish. And if you can't speak the language, it means that you are not connected to the culture at all. And if you're not connected to the culture at all, it means like there's basically a whole different culture within the main culture, which leads to tensions and issues. And out of those things like xenophobia get born, and things like gang violence gets more inflamed, and it just causes a lot of issues. But I feel like I can see that Sweden has realized its mistake and is trying to reverse a lot of these things. And it's quite funny because here in Finland, a lot of people are looking at Sweden and being like, yo, let's not do that. We don't want that. So that was quite interesting as well. And yeah, it was fun, guys. It really, really was. What I'd love to do, if the finances allow me to, especially if this YouTube channel starts actually properly taking off and supplementing itself financially, is that I would love to start traveling to different countries around Europe and film while I'm there and give my review and see what's going on around, So I would definitely love to get to that place, but slow and steady. I love doing this. I love talking to you guys. I love giving you some of my thoughts. I hope you guys really do enjoy it as much as I do too. Thank you so much for enjoying my channel and watching all this stuff. It feels like such a privilege. And once again, if you enjoy my content, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me, it's all down there. But otherwise, I hope you found that interesting and informative. But yeah, let me know some of your thoughts below. Let me know what else you'd like to see me tackle and talk about. Is there anything happening right now that you would like to hear my thoughts on? And yes, I am incredibly happy to be back in my home here in Helsinki. It's amazing. It will always be my home, and I'm proud to be living here and to call this place home. So to the Finns out there, don't worry. I'm still Team Finland. But have a fantastic day, evening, or whenever you watch this. You're awesome. Bye.